All right, man, we back with another one. Shout out to everybody that's tuning in, man. This is George with Rhyme Rate, by the way. George with Rhyme Rate. You know what I'm saying? Thank y'all for trolling on that last video, though. Still calling me Ryan here. That very funny. But let's move on. Yeah, but one thing that I wanted to talk about, man, is, man, I really appreciate the love, man. You guys have been, I've been getting subs. I'm moving towards 20,000 now. So make sure you guys subscribe if you enjoy the content, of course. Don't subscribe if you ain't fucking with it, though. I don't want no charity subs, man. Only subscribe if you like what I'm doing, man, and you appreciate what I'm doing, then yes. And you plan on wanting to view my channel moving forward, then yeah, I would love for your subscription, man. So thank you to everybody that's getting me to 20,000. The channel's been moving along. I want to be a lot more consistent, but I love the just the feedback that I've been getting, and just the support coming from you guys. So I just wanted to point that out. I appreciate it. On to Vince Staples. For those of you who are familiar with my Lost in Vegas channel, we did a few songs from Vince Staples, Etouffee, When Sparks Fly. So I know Vince can rap. I listened to the Dark Times album. That's the only Vince Staples album I've ever listened to start to finish was Dark Times, and I thought it was a dope album. But he's one of those guys that I just haven't gotten into the vast majority of his catalog that fits into that blog era that I talked about on the Mac Miller video. Make sure you check out the Mac Miller video that I did on the channel. And that's kind of where I launched this sort of digging into the vlog era, the blog era. And because I missed out on a lot of those guys, man. During that time, I was listening to, some of the mainstream guys from the blog era, Kendrick Cole, Drake, Wale, Big Sean, even Schoolboy Q was another one that I was listening to. But I still missed out on a lot of those guys. Chance the Rapper, Mac Miller, Earl Sweatshirt, Action Bronson's another guy. Like, I didn't really get into them. You know what I mean? On top of that, I was listening to old school dudes too. We still had T.I., we still had Wayne, we still had Jay. We still had people, Nipsey was doing his thing. We still had other cats that were dropping music, man. So I wanted to take the time to really, on this channel, at least carve out some time to dig into the blog era rappers. Vince is one of those guys that I wanted to get to because I think from what I could hear, especially with the Dark Times album, I think he's dope. I thought I heard this freestyle before, but it was actually the Funk Flex freestyle. So for those of you who I told, I heard this in the past, maybe on my Lost in Vegas channel. Sorry about that. I confused that I confused this for that. So I have not heard this freestyle, so I'm excited to see what he does. But for years, y'all been trying to get us to do this one. So here we go. Let's get into it. Vince Staples freestyling on LA Leakers. Let's rock out.
Yes, sir. LA Leakers, just incredible sour milk.
That's right.
We've been invaded by Long Beach, man.
Long Beach is here.
Long Beach.
Our homie for many years is
Many
stepping
years.
up.
Yeah, second time the charm, right?
Second
Come on,
time
man.
around. Vince Staples.
We got cameras this time.
First time on the freestyle series.
That explosive joint. Okay. Yeah, and this is such an ill beat to freestyle on too, because it's such a cool, slick beat to me.
Cameras this time.
First time on the freestyle series.
Let's get it.
Our guy is here, man.
Yes, sir.
Long Beach.
Vince Staples, let's get to it.
Yeah. Plant the seed for the pilot, ignore the politics. Problematic, proud of it. Automatic, shot the whip. Dropping shells from out of that window, I felt like common sense. Promise I did more for my niggas than them Obamas did. Late night stepping like Thriller, you niggas dead to me. Tagging 7th Street, they scrubbed it off the wall like every...
What do you say? Late night stepping like Thriller? Y'all dead to me? That was crazy. Late night stepping like Thriller, you dudes is dead to me. So that could be, obviously that's an entendre. He's referencing Michael Jackson's Thriller. In that video, Michael Jackson was basically a dancing zombie. He was literally stepping and dancing, like a dead zombie. So you dudes is dead to me. But stepping, dancing, like Michael Jackson in Thriller. But also what he means, the other side of the bar is, we stepping. That means we're moving militant in the streets, is what he's saying. It's stepping, and you dudes is dead to me, meaning literally, we moving militant in these streets. We catching bodies. You are literally dead to me. Or it could be, we moving so militant, we over here with it, man. Y'all, we don't even see y'all. Y'all dead to us. You know what I'm saying? But I think it means, yeah, we stepping like Thriller on a late night on some street shit, and we catching bodies. So that was slick. Real slick. He also said, dropping shells from out of that window, I felt like common sense. What am I missing with that bar? I'm mad that I'm not catching that. Obviously, I think he's referencing the rapper Common Sense, and I'm not catching where he's correlating him dropping shells out the window. The bar, of course, is Vince saying that I'm dropping shells out of that window like on some drive-by shit, right? Like we're doing a drive-by and I'm shooting out the window, right? And the shells are falling out the window, from the shotgun or what have you. So that's just a gun bar right there. But he's also referencing Common Sense, so there's potentially an entendre there. And I don't know how Common Sense is dropping shells out the window. Maybe it's a movie or a video that Common did something in that I'm not catching right now. But if anybody knows, let me know. Yeah, but it's a good start. It's a good start. I like his swagger too. You know what I'm saying? Just this nonchalant swagger, you know? Let me pull it back.
On the Freestyle series,
Let's get it.
our guy is here, man.
Yes, sir.
Long Beach.
Vince Staples, let's get to it.
Yeah, plant the seed for the pilot, ignore the politics. Problematic, proud of it. Automatic, shot the whip. Dropping shells from out of that window, I felt like common sense. Promise I did more for my niggas than them Obamas did. Late night stepping like Thriller, you niggas dead to me. Tagging 7th Street, they scrubbed it off the wall like every week. Famous city by the sea, the streets was cold, I felt the breeze. I rose from out the ruins, broke the moat, and they neglected me. Hitting licks, them crackers cracked the whip when they arrested me. Tell the old phase, I'm doing okay. This is story of OJ. Black against the white, I had to steal, nigga. My blood introduced me to this crip, and I'm for real with it. If I
He rapping though. I don't know why. I feel like it's clicking with me now with Vince. I know Vince can rap, but the way he's rapping in this particular freestyle is giving me a different feeling than what I've heard. And it's weird because I heard a whole album, The Dark Times. Admittedly, I skimmed through the album. I mean, I heard some songs, but you know how it is. You listen to an album, you're not really truly like locked in and listening with intent all the time, like I do with these breakdowns or what have you. So I haven't really listened to him, but I feel like I'm truly hearing him right now because he's a lot nicer and slicker than what I've probably given him credit for based off of what I'm seeing here. So he said he promised he did more for his dudes than the Obamas did. Damn. I wonder what Obama's legacy moving forward is going to be. You know what I'm saying? He was the man when he was in office to black people, but I don't know, since he left office, I just feel like his legacy is just going downhill for a lot of people. But what do you say? Famous city by the sea, Long Beach, the streets was cold. I felt the breeze. I rose from out the ruins, broke the mold, and then they neglected me. So he's from Long Beach, California, but he's from the streets, right? Or he's from the hood in Long Beach. Then there's the whole saying, right? Arose from the concrete, right? That Tupac mentioned, and this has just been from a very long time. That's an old saying, right? So a rose grows out of the concrete, like something special is growing out of tough circumstances surrounding it, the concrete being the tough circumstances, right? So he said, I broke the mold, I rose, as in I rose up, I got out of the situation, and I broke the mold. I defied the odds, right? And then he said, from out the ruins being the hood. Broke the mold and they neglected me. I mean? I was looked over. Then what did he say? The story of OJ, black against the white, I had to steal. He said, my blood introduced me to this crippin', I'm for real with it. That was slick. My blood introduced me to this crippin', I'm for real with it. You know what I mean? So my blood, my family, introduced me to cripping. He's a crip. He's a gang member, right? Or was a gang member. I don't know if he's still active. So that's what he's saying. So I'm for real with it. Like, I really am from this. Like I couldn't help but be from this because my family introduced me to it. But also, it's a play on Bloods and Crips, right? You know what I mean? So that was slick. And then he said, black against the white, I had to steal. Because he said this is the story of OJ. Black against the white, I had to steal. So OJ Simpson, we had the case and OJ Simpson, and it caused division in the world. And there was the black and white tension from that case because he got off. But also OJ, after he got off years later, I think he had to steal his memorabilia back. Right, he took his memorabilia, then he ended up going to prison for that. Like he had a gun and all this other stuff, and he was looking for his memorabilia. I don't know the exact story, but I know that's why he landed back in prison. So he said, I had to steal. Like I had to do what I had to do in a tough situation, I think is what he's saying. And with the odds against me, right? They neglected me, So black against the white, the tension, and maybe the white man holding them down. I don't know, holding them back. But that's just a play on black and white OJ. That was slick. And he could also be referencing the Jay-Z story of OJ video where it was black. The video was shot in black and white. And the whole idea of the story of OJ is just no matter how far you get up in life, you could be OJ Simpson, a famous, running back or whatever, and you could get up to the highest heights in riches and wealth and fame. But, they say that some white people still look at you as beneath them, right? You're just an N-word, right? So I think that's his whole thing, his sort of systemic. I think it's a systemic point that he's making. Black against the white, like, no matter what I do and where I'm from, I'm always going to be looked at like this, right? I'm always up against that. So, yeah, that was hard, though. Real hard.
Famous city by the sea, the streets was cold, I felt the breeze. I rose from out the ruins, broke the mold, and they neglected me. Hitting licks, them crackers cracked the whip when they arrested me. Tell the old phase I'm doing okay. This is story of OJ. Black against.
So when he said they cracked the whip when they arrested him, you know what I mean? Obviously, that's a sort of a nod back to slavery when slaves were cracked with a whip, right? So he's just, when they arrested him, right? So he's just caught in the system, sort of systemic racism or what have you, right? They cracked the whip, they jammed him up, they're keeping him down. It's hard for him to advance in life. You know, so when they arrested him, they cracked the whip. So again, just his acknowledgement of it's tough getting out of the ruins he's from, you know, with just systemically, right?
Hitting licks, them crackers cracked the whip when they arrested me. Tell the old phase I'm doing okay. This is story of OJ. Black against the white, I had to steal, nigga. My blood introduced me to this crip and I'm for real with it. If I was you and I was thinking I was next about the beach, I wouldn't hold my breath unless you Navy SEAL with it. Before we go to war, you should take a propaganda. See my money from Gardena to Gardere, Louisiana. We was at Louisiana. Came up off them snack packs, 50 cents for Shastas, itchy blop up in the backpack. Little Caesar hiding ready box, we had to have that. Made us heavy hitters off the block, I'm talking crackbacks. Niggas say I fell off, that's fact.
He rapping though. He is rapping. Hey, what do you say? You know, I wouldn't know. What do you say if I was you and I was thinking I was next about the beach, so the next to blow, the next rapper to blow from Long Beach. He said, what did he say? I wouldn't hold my breath unless you a Navy SEAL with it. So I think that's a play on beach, water. When someone says they wouldn't hold their breath, that means like I wouldn't have too much hope in you being the next one. You know what I'm saying? You're not the next one, man. You know what I'm saying? So I guess that's just a shot to maybe the haters that come from his hometown that maybe are on the come up. Like, you think that you could be me, you think you could do what I do, don't hold your breath, man. But then it was a play on being a Navy SEAL. Navy SEAL is able to hold their breath for long periods of time. So unless you're a Navy SEAL, I wouldn't hold your breath, but hold your breath meaning don't even try. Don't even, you have no hope, man. You can't do what I do. So that was a slick play. And then again, the beach, waters in the beach, maybe hold your breath underwater, referencing the beach. And he said, before we go to war, you should take a propaganda. See, my money from Gardena to Louisiana. You know what I'm saying? So my money's long. So before we go to war, you better make sure you do your homework. You know what I'm saying? So I got money, I got soldiers, I got money, which means I have power. I got soldiers out there, you know. Just saying, you might want to take a propaganda. And but I love the descriptiveness right here when he said, you know, I came up on Little Caesars and snack packs, and you know, the hot Little Caesars got us through the night, or got us through them hard nights, right? Because you know, Little Caesars is cheap pizza, you know, so Little Caesars fed the block. He brought up Shastas, you know, itchy blops and all that, you know. So, and it was back when it was 50 cents, yeah. So again, I like the descriptive detail, man, of just. Because, you know, those are the snacks that you buy from the bodegas or the corner stores or whatever that keep you going. They keep it real, like them little 25-cent bag of chips, you know, Huggies. We call them Huggies. You know, they kept you right. So I like that. Then he said, made us heavy hitters off the block. I'm talking crackbacks. I think that's a football play, a heavy hitter, somebody. I think a crackback, I think, is a football play designed for a linebacker or a defensive lineman to hit the quarterback. I think it's a defensive play design off the block, right? You're getting blocked and you have to get around the block to hit someone. So I think that's what he's playing on. And in addition to that, you know, heavy hitter on the block, meaning I'm serving work, you know what I mean? Like selling drugs on the block, you know, or maybe putting in work violently on the block. I'm a heavy hitter, but I think that's more of a play on them just, you know, being on the block. Little Caesars hot and ready is keeping them going, keeping the energy going, right? And then, you know, we heavy hitters out here. We making money, you know. But again, I think that's a football metaphor there too as well. So yeah, that was dope. Let's keep it going.
Came up off them snack packs, 50 cents for Shastas, itchy blop up in the backpack. Little Caesar hiding ready box, we had to have that. Made us heavy hitters off the block, I'm talking crackbacks. Niggas say I fell off, that's facts. I guess you can say I fell off for the grid. You like the Netherlands? Football match in Madrid. This not the Meadowlands. These little niggas punch in the air and still they never land. It's like they riding with your pedo hands. If you see your pedo in the jam, can you help the man?
This right now, in this pocket right here, when he said they punch in the air, you know what I mean? I guess they never land. I think that's a play on Peter Pan, right? Neverland. When he says punch in the air, didn't they have a fight? Weren't the Lost Boys and Peter Pan fighting in the air or something like that? I think that's just a play on him referencing the movie Peter Pan, where the Lost Boys and Peter Pan were flying through the air, and maybe they were fighting and punching the air, or maybe that's how he flew with the air with his fist clenched and flew. I haven't watched Peter Pan in probably like 20 years, man. But I think that's a reference to Peter Pan and They'll Never Land. And what he's saying is, they're saying that he fell off of the grid. He fell off. He's like, you know what? I guess I did fall off. You know, I fell off to the Netherlands. You know, I've been in the Netherlands, and I don't know if that's a play on the Netherlands being off the grid in some way as well. But basically, you know, you like the Netherlands. He was like, you know, football match in Madrid. You know, this ain't the Meadowlands. So what I think he's saying is, people said, yo, Vince Staples, you fell off. What happened to you? What you think is falling off is me. I'm still doing my thing. I'm still getting money. I'm still flying around the world, attending football matches in Madrid. You know me. This ain't the Meadowlands, by the way. This isn't in New York City. I'm talking overseas, baby. So I'm doing my thing. Like, you think I'm falling off? Yeah, I'm falling off of the grid. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out the way. I'm low, and I'm living life. You know, so I thought that was a little slick play on people saying that, you know, his music is maybe not hitting with the way it used to. And then he said these little dudes is punching the air, but they'll never land. So you're punching the air in frustration because I'm doing my thing, right? But you'll never land that punch, right? But again, it's a play on Peter Pan, the Lost Boys flying through the air, punching the air. And I think that they fought or something like that. I haven't seen a movie in a while. But again, it is a Peter Pan Neverland play. And then he said it's like you writing with Geppetto hands. You know what I'm saying? So Geppetto was the puppet master, the puppeteer, right, who made Pinocchio, right? So essentially you writing with ghostwriters, I think is how I'm taking that, right? Or you write it, or the words that you saying is words from somebody else. You know, like you can't think for yourself. You either have a ghostwriter, you can't think for yourself. Somebody's your puppeteer writing for you. You know, so I don't know if that's a shot at somebody that I'm not aware of. Yeah, so that was hard. Let me pull that back.
Niggas say I fell off, that's facts. I guess you can say I fell off for the grid. You like the Netherlands? Football match in Madrid. This not the Meadowlands. These little niggas punch in the air and still they never land. It's like they riding with Geppetto hands. If you see your pedo in the jam, can you help the man? Feel like they like ghetto with the Prince cannon, ain't the can. Pressure low is Carmelito rent, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
We spun around his block, he did the running man. Shotty did the little Ken, missed him, but we hit his friend. Listening to Mini Man, living out my favorite song.
Yeah, he going crazy. Actually, he's going crazy. You know what I'm saying? He's so laid back and nonchalant with it, though, that you could really, like, overlook. Like, no, he's really snapping on this one, man. What did he say? He said, feel like De La Ghetto with the Prince, Cannon and the Can. So that's a Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reference, man. He's talking about Jeffrey, the butler, on that TV show. There was an episode where he played this poet, he called himself Raphael De La Ghetto. And part of like that segment, he was just part of the poetry hit that he was saying in that segment when he was saying cannons to the left and cannons to the right. So when he says, feel like De La Ghetto with the Prince, Cannon and the Can, he's referencing when Jeffrey said cannons, right? But he's talking about the gun. That's a gun play for Vince Staples, right? But that was funny. With the Prince, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, De La Ghetto, that was slick, you know. But he said we spun his block. He did the Running Man. We spun his block. We came back through with the came back through on some street shit, right? To his block where he's from. But he was running. He did the Running Man, but that's like a dance, the Running Man as well. And he said, Shorty did the Little Kim, missed, but we hit his friend. He said, Shorty did the Little Kim. There's a video that went viral a couple years ago when Little Kim was dancing and she was doing, that was the way she was dancing. So she was sort of like ducking down low, right? So basically we made him do the Little Kim. We were shooting at him. We made him duck down low like Little Kim. So that was slick. So yeah, man. Yeah, he's rapping.
Feel like they like ghetto with the Prince cannon, ain't the can. Pressure low is Carmelito rent, do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Is Carmelito like an area in Long Beach? He said pressure low is Carmelito rent. Do you understand? I'm assuming that's like the rent specifically is low in an area in Long Beach, maybe called Carmelito. I don't know. I'm not familiar with what Carmelito is. Or I don't know if maybe I'm missing the reference entirely. But he said pressure low. So maybe there's no pressure. Maybe there's no pressure. The pressure is low as Carmelito rent. Right? Like we cool. We are cool under high pressure circumstances, maybe is what he's saying. Like when we spun the block, ain't no pressure for us. Is how I'm taking that. But okay.
Punch in the air and still they never land. It's like they riding with your pedo hands. If you see your pedo in the jam, can you help the man? Feel like they like ghetto with the Prince cannon. Ain't the can. Pressure low is calmly though rent. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
We spun around his block, he did the running man. Shotty did the little Ken. Missed him, but we hit his friend. Listening to Mini Man. Living out my favorite songs. They killed my little homie before we got to see his baby grown. And y'all wanna talk about practice. Them suckers down the street get gunned up and clap quick. The suckers by the beach get gunned up and clap quick. Run and point that 32 and make them sicker than magic. Voila. If I ever tap the side of his hat, it's trauma.
I've heard a lot of Magic Johnson, HIV, sick, I've heard a lot of flips like that, but that was hard. It was a little bit more layered than some of the stuff that I've heard referencing Magic Johnson and having HIV. But what he was saying was, he said run and point that 32 and made him sicker than Magic. So that's a play on running with a gun and pointing the gun being the 32 and making them sick, meaning you're going to be sick. You're going to be like, in distress from me using the gun to shoot you, right? But run and point that 32. Magic Johnson ran point for the LA Lakers, and he wore the number 32 and make him sicker than Magic. Make him sicker, meaning like make him, hurt from being shot, but also sick. Magic Johnson, has the HIV virus. Actually, at this point, this motherfucker basically is cured, but you get the point, right? So sick as in he has HIV. So that was, that was tough. Let me pull that back.
And y'all wanna talk about practice. Them suckers down the street get gunned up and clap quick. The suckers by the beach get gunned up and clap quick. Run and point that 32 and make them sicker than Magic. Voila. If I ever tap the side of his hat, it's trauma. You will never catch me slipping in traffic. How you coming? Who put you on this? You just claiming or you from it? These niggas out here blowing brains, y'all blowing budgets. Rappers make me sick to my stomach. We glorify who died and demonizing niggas who done it. I thought we was thugging. Niggas killed Jabari for nothing.
Crazy.
I thought we was thugging. Niggas killed Jabari for nothing.
Yeah, that's tough.
I thought we was thugging. Niggas killed Jabari for nothing. Come on. I thought we was thugging. Niggas killed.
I love that he paused right there, right? Because he led up to that by saying, just to summarize, like, what did he say? You talk about practice. He's referencing Allen Iverson during like a post game or something like that. Iverson, the press was saying that he didn't show up for practice, and he's just like, we talking about practice, right? Go Google Allen Iverson practice or YouTube it. And he kept saying practice. We talking about practice the entire thing. So that's what he's referencing. But what I think he's saying by saying that is because he followed that up with, these dudes down the street getting gunned up and clap quick. These dudes over here is getting gunned up and clap quick. You know what I'm saying? Then he said we glorify who died and demonize the dude who done it, right? So we glorify who died and we demonize the dudes who done it. I thought we was thugging, right? So we glorifying people catching bodies, right? But then when someone actually dies, when someone does actually get a body caught, you know what I'm saying, right? Then we demonize them. But I thought that's what we wanted. I thought we wanted to see blood. I thought we was thugging. I thought that's what we, I thought this was the Coliseum, right? So I love that he said that. It's just like, what I thought, they killed Jabari for nothing. You thought you was going to get some sort of street glory, like somebody caught a body or whatever, and he died for no reason. It was pointless. You don't even get the street glory that you was looking for. But when he said you talk about practice, you're talking about insignificant things, right? You know what I mean? When people are dying in the streets is what I think he's saying. Because that's how Allen Iverson came off. Like, practice, like, I'm averaging 30 points a game, man. Anybody who's watched Allen Iverson play knows that he put it all on the line every game. He gave it his all. So what if I miss practice? Who gives a fuck? You see what I'm doing when it's game time. You see how I'm coming. So why are we talking about practice? So why are we talking about insignificant things when people are dying in the streets, right? And I think he said something else that I like too. He said, these dudes is out here blowing brains. You know what I mean? Y'all blowing budgets. You worried about spending money on chains and, material things while these guys are getting their heads blown off, right? Y'all blowing budgets and glorifying the shit that these dudes are really actually doing, man. So that was hard. Then he said, who put you on? Is you just claiming it or you from it? Like, are you really from this shit or you just claiming it, right? Are you perpetrating, So that was dope. Yeah. This is very, very dope, man.
I thought we was thugging. Niggas killed Jabari for nothing. Come on. I thought we was thuggin'. Niggas killed Jabari for nothing. Think I'm finna mourn a nigga over bars and you buggin'. That's a real, but can you recognize the revolution won't be televised? And people had me slaving, left me hanging till we severed ties. I was better suited for the shooting, knew the reverend lies, so I don't need your praises. I don't need appraisal for my shine. Real diamond out the rough. You
Hey, yo, seriously? I don't think I've ever heard Vince Staples rap as good as this. I've never heard Vince Staples rap like this, man. I'm gonna keep it real. I guess I need to really, give me more Vince Staples for the channel, man. And when this new album comes out, I don't know what kind of time he's gonna be on. If he's rapping anything like this, yeah, I'm really tapped in now. Yeah, this is ridiculous. I'm mad that we didn't get to this sooner on Lost in Vegas, man. Yeah, he's going crazy to me. What did he say? You know, the whole Jabari thought we was thugging, and then he said, them people had me slaving, left me hanging till we severed ties. So I think that's first of all, that's just nasty writing, right? The metaphor in that, right? I think he's saying slaving as in slaving in a record deal, right? They had him they probably had him constricted in a very suffocating record deal that he couldn't do much with, right? So he had to sever ties with his label. But he's also referencing slavery, right? When slaves were hung, right? You know, so they had him slaving in a record deal, but also slaves were hung. Left me hanging until we severed ties. We had to cut that rope, so I couldn't be a slave anymore. So that was slick. Then he said, knew the reverend lies, so I don't need your praises. I don't need appraisal for my shine. Knew the reverend lies, so he knows that there's just, you know, janky reverends, right? Reverends that you know, just lie to you in the hood, you know, scam artist reverends, right? So I don't need your praises. What he's saying is, I don't need you to give me, I don't need your praises. I can, as long as I get my money, make my money, take care of my family, I don't need your awards. I don't need any of that industry nonsense in order to feel validated. I don't need your praises, right? Just like the reverend. You don't need the reverend's praises or prayer, right? You don't need praise from the reverend because it's a scam. So at least some reverends in some churches, right? But he said, I don't need appraisal for my shine. Real diamond out the rough. I don't need appraisal for my shine. I don't need, you know, when you think of an appraisal, right? That's you finding out how much something is worth. You have to get an appraiser to come in and evaluate it to see how much it's worth. Typically, if you're using, in this example, it's diamonds, right? But I don't need appraisal for my shine, you know? I don't need to be validated or whatever the case may be to shine. I don't need industry validation to shine, right? I'm a real diamond in the rough, right? So that was a little slick wordplay. Diamond appraisal, diamond in the rough, shine, diamond shine. You know, so he said, you dudes is in the lab. So that's a reference to lab diamonds. But you in the lab, you still working in the lab as well. Like you still trying to work on your craft. I'm already ready. I'm a real diamond. You know what I'm saying? I'm already here. So that was dope. Let's keep it going.
That's a real, but can you recognize the revolution won't be televised? And people had me slaving, left me hanging till we severed ties. I was better suited for the shooting, knew the reverend lies, so I don't need your praises. I don't need appraisal for my shine. Real diamond out the rough, you niggas in the lab. I heard y'all out here cooking up them crackers in y'all bag. You say my name up in a song and I'ma kill your ass. And I ain't talking rap. North.
Get it, baby.
LA leakers, man. Fuck that, man. Fuck that rollout shit. Fuck them shells.
Talk to him.
You know what I mean? On Lil Half, man. You know what we did?
Is that the end of it?
Come on, bro.
LA Leakers, Power 106.
Yeah.
LA's #1 for hip hop.
Know that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that was fire. That was real fire. And it was like, it was a short freestyle. Actually, I guess that wasn't a short freestyle. You know what I'm saying? I think by today's standards, because people rap for like 8-10 minutes sometimes. But that was very, very short and potent. And he had a lot in there, man. That was nasty, man. The Michael Jackson, you know, man, you dead to me. You know, we late night stepping or something like that, like Thriller. That was hard. The Neverland, them boys punching the air, Neverland, that was hard. Just so many lines in here, man. That was very, very clever. So this is the best display of rapping that I've ever heard from Vince, man. Yeah, like, did I mention the appraisal for my shine? I love that line too, man. Like, I don't need assessments from outside entities or the industry to feel validated for what I do for me to shine. I don't need that. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am. I know what I have to offer is how I'm taking that line. But a lot of like fire joints too, man. I want to get back to that common sense line, but that'll be off the channel. Yeah, this is the story of OJ black against the white. I had to steal. Again, OJ Simpson was in a situation where he had to steal his memorabilia back. You know, just line after line, man. Salute to Vince Staples, man. I can't wait for that new album. Let me know if y'all want me to get to that album. I don't know. Let me know. But I'm fuck all that. I'm getting to the album anyway, even if 2 motherfuckers watch it. So salute. Appreciate y'all for checking out Rhyme Rate. That's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm George. This is Rhyme Rate. I'm out.